Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Environment and Economy Overview and Scrutiny Committee. I'd like to welcome our guests as well, the Shropshire Amateur Swimming Association, to the meeting. Welcome to this meeting. I'm obliged to inform you that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Members of the public will be able to view the meeting using the link on the agenda. Item 1 is apologies for absence. We've received apologies from Councillor Rob Wilson and his substitute is Councillor David Vasmer, and received them from Paul Wynne and his substitute is Councillor Nick Bardsley. We have apologies also from Mark Barrow, who unfortunately is too busy with work at the moment to attend. Item 2, disclosable interests. Members are reminded that they must declare their disclosable pecuniary interests and other registrable or non-registrable interests in any matter being considered at the meeting as set out in Appendix B of the Members' Code of Conduct, and consider if they should leave the room prior to the item being considered. Does anybody have any? No, we have none. In that case, we'll move on to item 3. Public question time, we have none. Item 4, members' question time, we have none. We will now move on to the main item, which is the call-in for the Sports Village transformation. If I can start by explaining the purpose of the meeting and the decisions which the committee is able to take as Scrutiny Committee. The decision taken in relation to Shrewsbury Sports Village transformation, proposals for new fitness and pool facilities at Sundawn, taken by Cabinet on January the 17th, 2024, has been called in by the Liberal Democrat group of the Council. Members can be considered by the relevant Overview and Scrutiny Committee, which can decide A, whether it accepts that decision with no further comment, or B, whether it wishes to accept the grounds on which the decision has been called in and refer the decision back to Cabinet for reconsideration, and if so, what recommendations to Cabinet it wishes to make. C, Overview and Scrutiny Committees can also refer the decision to Council for a wider debate. If the Overview and Scrutiny Committee does not refer the matter back to the Cabinet, the decision shall take effect on the date of the committee meeting. The powers of the committee when they receive a call-in do not differ from those for all of their work and meetings. The committee is not decision-making and will consider the available information to confirm their response. This includes the full call-in notice, the reports to Cabinet used to inform the decision that was called in, and supplementary information to assist the committee in its consideration of the substance of the call-in notice. The call-in notice is attached at Appendix 1. The report to Cabinet that informed the decision is attached at Appendix 2, and supplementary information to assist the committee is attached at Appendix 3. I would like to say at this juncture as well, we had a very big report yesterday. There was a lot of information in it. I don't actually think it's relevant to what we're discussing today, which is the consultation, but it is background information so that everyone can see it. So callers in, present the case. So Roger, if you'd like to do that, explaining reasons for calling in the Cabinet decision. So if you'd like to go.
Thank you, Chairman. Roger Evans, leader of the Lib Dem group and councillor for Longdon. This is essentially not a political calling. Use the group because of the way the Constitution reads, in that if the group does it, it saves individual members signing it in. The majority or all of the group are in favour of it, but this is because of the concerns about it. I am going to only refer to the call-in because that is what this is about. Can I say that at the start, I and we are not against the consultation. we are against this consultation because of the phraseology. It does note on page 6 of the papers that the chairman referred to that this debate has been going on for 13 years. 13 years and several consultations held, and all, I repeat again, all came back with comparable results. One of the results you've got in front of you today, which shows the results of the survey which was done back in 2016. There were nearly 2,000 answers replied, but only just over 1,500 recorded, because on that consultation, computers were only allowed to put a reply in once. So if there was a husband and wife, or a father and a child, and they used the same computer, the second one was rejected. And if you look in the top right-hand corner of that analysis, there were nearly 600 submissions which were rejected. This, what we have here today, reminds me very much of another organisation which has been in the news and kept on saying it was right. We are right, you are wrong. The ones in charge refused to accept that they may be wrong and took no notice of anything which they did not agree with. Yes, we know the building that houses the quarry swimming pool is not in good condition. Would not any building like that, when for years and years minimum or no maintenance was carried out, be like it? Reference is made to the numbers who responded to the consultation conducted in 2014, which I just referred to. 68% preferred the quarry, while the magnificent 16.5% opted for the sport village option. It also tries to criticise the result because of where the respondents lived. It, however, of course, fails to note how many live in the different areas of Shropshire. If you live in Bridgnorth, would you come to Shrewsbury or even Sundorne for the swimming pool? You'd go to Telford. If you live in Chifnell, you'd go somewhere else. If you live in Whitchurch, hopefully you'd be able to use a swimming pool there. Some areas also have rural and a very sparse population. It did not fit in with the result that was wanted. Hence, the result of that consultation was ignored. Reference is also made that the option to site a new pool at the riverside was never considered. Well, nor was the siting of a cinema and several other leisure facilities that are now being considered. If a pool was to be sited there, then there would be many years' delay. Why? Is it because it does not fit with the organisation or what the organisation wants to steamroller through the new and only swimming pool for Shrewsbury at the Sports Centre? Finally, the report circulated as Appendix 3 states that in 2015 the consultations showed strong feelings for developing new facilities at the Sports Village. Strong feelings. Okay. But let's unpick that statement. No mention here about the fact that just 16.5% at that time wanted swimming facilities built at the Sports Village. New facilities, no argument. But swimming, no, not supported. A total, to my mind, misrepresentation of that consultation's results. I do note that nowhere in the report are the economic effects, benefits that the town centre would gain should a swimming pool remain in the town centre. Before finishing the speech, I'd also like to refer to another part of the recommendations contained in the report and referred to in the call-in, a full assessment being undertaken in due course on the options for the quarry site. I ask you to note the words, the quarry site, not the pool, quarry site. That speaks volumes to me. I maintain if a consultation is to take place, then the questions on the survey form need to be reconsidered. And that would be what I would wish this scrutiny committee to say to the Cabinet, not against the consultation, maybe we need one. It's 2014, 2016, but please reconsider the words that are in the consultation so that the wishes of Shropshire residents can be noted and hopefully taken notice on. Any survey, consultation, needs to be carefully worded if it is to be a true consultation. This one, to me, is not. It is very biased towards the building of Shrewsbury swimming pool, and note I use the words building of Shrewsbury swimming pool being built at Sundawn Sports Village. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. I've just realised that I've been quite remiss in that I haven't got everyone to introduce themselves, so people won't know who's actually here. So if I could just go around the room now so everyone's aware. I'll start with you, Steve.
Steve Davenport, Councillor St Martin's, Dudleston, Dudleston Heath.
Claire Braddock, Overview and Scrutiny Officer.
Rosemary Dartnell, Councillor for Bayston Hill, Colham and Sutton, Shrewsbury.
Pam Mosley, Councillor for Montmore in Shrewsbury.
Julian Dean, Councillor for Port Hill, and just to say, I may get an urgent call, so apologies if I have to leave.
Nick Hignett, Councillor for Ray Valley.
Gary Birchett, Councillor for Bagley in Shrewsbury.
Jane Trethewey, Assistant Director, Homes and Communities.
Robert Macy, Councillor with the portfolio for Culture and Digital.
Ed Potter, Shropshire Councillor for Lowton.
Roger Evans, Councillor for the Longdon Division.
David Vasmer, Councillor for Underdale in Shrewsbury.
Nick Bardsley, Councillor for Brighton and Buschurch.
Amanda Holyoke, Committee Officer.
My name's Graham White, I'm a solicitor with Shropshire Council.
And Tom Dodds, I'm the Council Scrutiny Manager.
Oh, I didn't switch it off. I don't know what happened there. Right, we'll move on to members of the committee. You can ask questions and seek clarification from the caller-in person, which is Roger Evans. Do we have anybody who wishes to question him? Yes, David.
I don't want to answer a question, Roger, but I would like to make just a few comments.
You can do that further on.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody? No? So we have no questions. Right, I'd like to invite Jane Trethewey, who's the Executive Director, Assistant Director, and Portfolio Holder, Robert Macy, to explain the background to the decision. If you'd like to go first, Jane.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. So the decision that was taken in January at Cabinet is essentially a quite simple one. It's for the consultation on a proposal for a pool to be added to the Sundawn Sports Village existing facility. It's quite clear in the decision that this does not rule out proposals for quarry pool in future. It's quite specific in the report that there is no decision being made in regard to quarry. The reason for focusing on Sundawn Sport Village and the provision of a pool there is simply because we know that in order to maintain swimming provision consistently in Shrewsbury, which is clearly an absolutely vital resource, we have to start there. It's very clear that the existing quarry facility is in poor condition. This has been known for some time and is evidenced by the long period of closure when emergency repairs were required, which is extremely unfortunate, but we can see more such potential closures and more such potential costs arising because the quarry building is essentially life expired now. So in order to make sure that we sustain swimming provision in Shrewsbury, it's essential that we initiate a new build at Sundawn Sports Village, and hence the requirement to undertake a consultation. It's been clear for some time that to progress with the two-pool solution that we wish to do, we can only do one at a time. We always knew that in order to make a change at quarry, in order to provide something in future at quarry, that would anyway require the closure of the quarry pool and its demolition. So it's essential for there to be a continuity of swimming provision that we start at Sundawn. So hence the decision being proposed and taken at Cabinet previously to progress with the consultation on what goes on the Sundawn site as the first step in this process.
Thank you. Councillor Macy, portfolio holder.
I think Jane's covered most of it. We went through a lot of it at Cabinet in terms of the reasoning for it and so on. I think looking at the reasons for the call-in and the consultation side of it, I think we would say that, just echoing that point, that we've said in the report that this isn't a decision on the quarry, this is a decision about the proposals for the Shrewsbury Sports Village. Therefore, the reason we're consulting on the Shrewsbury Sports Village is because we're putting forward a proposal for that site. We've said we will then move on to the quarry, and there'll be a similar exercise when we move on to the quarry site, and we have a proposal for that site as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Do any members have questions to ask of either Jane or Robert? David.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I just want to quiz a statement just made, actually, on the quarry, decision about the quarry. In effect, what we're discussing is the closure of the what really. That's what we're discussing.
Sorry, I've got to stop you there. This is purely about the consultation.
But the consultation, that's why the consultation is wrong, because the consultation should have an option to discuss whether the quarry is going to be kept, whether it should be a swimming pool should be.
And that's fine. What you just said then is fine, but we have to keep to
yeah,
the
I know. So,
consultation, please.
Yeah, because that is the key issue here is, are we going to have a swimming pool in the town centre, or are we going to have a swimming pool out of the town centre? And I think people ought to be given that option, because I think a lot of people feel that the town centre benefits from having a swimming pool. It attracts people into the town centre. It would be perfect based at Smithfield on the riverside. And that really that option is something which should be included in the consultation. And really, we have to be honest here that in effect, given the financial circumstances the council is currently in, we are unlikely to have two pools in Shrewsbury. That is the reality. And I think that to say that the decision on the quarry has been deferred, I don't think that's being quite honest, really. I think that we ought to give people the option of actually saying, do you want a pool in the town centre, or do you want a pool?
I think you're muddying the waters a little there, Councillor Vasma, because the decision that was taken was on Sundawn. I hear what you're saying. You're saying the consultation should have included what's happening with the quarry, whereas we've heard from the portfolio holder that will come up in future and will be looked at and will, I'm sure, be consulted on whatever happens. So I think you're muddying the waters a little. I know where you're coming from, but if we can stick to the consultation, I'd be really grateful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you want to come back? Are you?
Well, I mean,
as long as it's to do with the consultation, and we're not going into an argument about why the quarry should stay as it is.
Well, the consultation needs to give people an option. I mean, I think that's what this calling is all about, really. And I think it made it quite clear. It made it quite clear. If you look at the first one, it says that there's a clear decision here to go ahead with a sports village pool on its own, and the abandonment of the intention to develop the quarry pool. However, the public consultation will only about the development proposals for the sports village. So I think that the call-in did actually make it clear that one of the problems with the consultation was the lack of an option.
And that's fine. I don't think about the option, but about it's purely about Sundawn.
Yeah, well, and I think
take what you're saying. I know where you're coming from, but I think we'll move on. I've got quite a few other speakers.
Well, for the people of Shrewsbury, I think this is a very important issue. It's raised, and people get very concerned about it. And there's a lot of people who use the pool in Shrewsbury who are very upset about this particular process. The people who use the pool, who the clubs and the swimmers there are very upset about it. And I think it should be an offer which should be available and should be in the consultation.
Well, I have to say I'm very glad that Shropshire Amateur Swimming Association members are here, and I know they support what is happening at Sundawn. So take from that what you will. Rosemary.
colleagues.
Thank you. Yeah, my question is about the consultation. This document that we've all been given here explains in the top right corner 539 people who shared a computer had their responses discarded.
Can I just clarify what you're saying now? This is from a 2016 consultation. I don't know if you've seen the paper or you've got that in front of you, because I don't know. Roger, did you give it to everyone?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought this was given to us.
If I can, Chairman.
No, it wasn't. Roger handed it round.
Can I go my points down?
Yes, please. Carry on,
Carry
Rosemary.
on, thank
Yes.
you. So it shows us that when I first read this, this document explains that 539 submissions from people who shared a computer had their responses discarded. And when I first read that, I thought that that was some sort of crazy campaign, that 540 people had all sent some sort of submission from the same computer. But in fact, what it means is 539 second or third submissions were dismissed from the consultation. And I just want to query that, because I think it's perfectly reasonable for 2 or 3 people to submit to a consultation. To withdraw 539 submissions, if they were from the same computer, that's fine. And if this document is absolutely correct, then I think that's wrong, and I hope that the consultation will consider all responses.
Rosemary, that's an old consultation, and it's
Yeah, I want to ask, that's my question.
Okay, go ahead.
Will we do that on this consultation or not?
Well, I think it's for
It's a
the
question.
Oh, you want an answer on what you've got in front of you?
No, it's about the consultation. Sorry, Joyce.
No, it's about the consultation.
It's about whether that will
so
happen.
who would you like to respond on
I'd
that
like
for
either
you?
Jane or Rob to respond
Yes,
to that, please.
thank you.
Thank you. So we have colleagues who are responsible for consultations that happen across all manner of issues. The Council regularly runs consultations on policy and strategy matters, and we have a standard approach to these consultations in order to avoid the risk of inappropriate responses, if I can just put it that way, of numerous responses from a single computer, thus skewing the figures. So that's the rationale behind that. I can certainly have a conversation with those teams to see if there's a way in which we can clarify, you know, the way in which that's done, but it is done for very good reasons, and it is fairly standard methodology.
That's great, and I would expect us to have that kind of due diligence. But I do think it should be noted that it's perfectly reasonable for 2 or even 3 submissions to come from one household, where there might be adults there.
I'd be grateful if you could take that back, Jane, and see if there is a way of doing it differently so that everybody's voice is heard. Thank you. Pam.
Thank you, Chair. Question of Jane, if I may. Looking at the consultation, it shows plans which are fairly well advanced for Sundawn, and not just adding a pool, but making a lot of changes to the other gym and fitness offer, which is there. Now, I can't remember when the Sundawn Centre was built, but it's not that old, but it's not being used well. So clearly the offer that is there is not attractive to potential users. And fashions change in gyms, don't they? Sports come and go, exercise classes come and go. But this is quite a prescriptive list. And one of the things I noticed on there, that there was a 130 station health and fitness suite proposed. And I think the previous iteration was 110, so it's actually increased on that. And I thought, well, from my anecdotal evidence, there's quite a lot of gyms in Shrewsbury now. So I had a look online, and in Shrewsbury, and it probably isn't exhaustive, I found 16 alternative gyms. And of those, 8 are in the Holscott and Sundawn area. So that area is pretty well provided for, as is the rest of the town, really. So I wondered how prescriptive that is, and will there be alternative provision looked at? It does seem to put a 130 station gym in an area where there's quite a number, at all different price ranges, including quite the budget end of the market. You know, how confident you are that that is a good offer for that?
Do you want to answer, Jane?
Yes, I'm happy to. Might draw Peter in on this one as well, because he's done some of the technical aspects of this. But we have taken advice from leisure consultants who are specialists in the field about what is a good facility mix, what does attract people in order to provide a very rounded offer. Because having something at the moment at Sundawn, we've got an offer that's very much focused on football, on racket sports, things like that. It's a very specific appeal at the moment, which at the moment means that it's not a facility that actually covers its costs. It's subsidised as a facility at the moment. So what we're looking at in that new facility mix that's proposed, alongside the new pool, is a refresh of all of the rest of the offer that Sundawn has, so that it's much more family friendly, has a much broader appeal.
On a point of order,
Yeah.
this is not about consultation.
No, you're
and
quite
you said
right.
point
You are
specifically,
quite right. No.
and I'm upset because I wanted to answer that on the consultation, not about what the facilities are.
You will have that chance shortly, Roger, if you wait. Yeah, it's quite right. It's going to be really difficult to try and focus on the consultation, not what's going in where and how. It's whether people have been consulted correctly and in the right manner, and that's purely what it's about. So if you get any questions, you can say this is not about the consultation. I'm very happy for you to do that. The same for you, Robert. So we'll move on if that's possible, and you're quite right, Roger, in what you say. Thank you. We'll have a chance to come back, I promise. Julian.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I think it's probably impossible to try and narrow this down quite so much.
It's very hard.
We do have to, you know, the context is so important. The context of the Council, the Cabinet decision was a financial context. It was also a climate emergency context. There's lots of context around here. The call-in has mentioned the Riverside. There's that context. I do think we have to look at it in the round. And I appreciate that there's an opportunity to make comments later, so I will just ask a question now, but I will want to make comments later. So my question actually is about the quarry. So what is the current lifespan of the quarry? It is open. What is the expectation in terms of being able to keep that open? You know, for what length of time is that facility realistically available to people?
Julian, I'm sorry, that again is not about the consultation.
But it's part of the context.
No, it isn't. I don't think it is. I just asked Graham, what are your thoughts on that? Is it or is it not?
We are for, with the calling was about the consultation and in a sense the future use of the, well, not in a sense, in terms of the consultation, the future use of the quarry is not relevant to the discussion that we're having, so it probably isn't about the consultation, I think, because we need to, the consultation as proposed is to discuss the sports village, not the quarry.
Yes. So I'm sorry. Robert.
I was just, obviously we didn't come back after David had made his
points.
Yes,
David.
I think he referenced in the call-in sort of the decision here is to go ahead with the pool on its own is the abandonment of the intention to redevelop the quarry. And we can categorically be quite straight. That's not what this decision is. We have publicly stated that our intention is still to try and find a solution for the quarry, and we will move on to that in the same manner we move from Whitchurch to this to the other. That is why this consultation is focused on the proposals we're putting forward for the sports village. So.
Would you say the waters were muddied by talking about the quarry in the Cabinet report when it should have just actually
I think we just wanted, what we put within the report was that we are prioritising the Shrewsbury Sports Village. Well, we just felt that because we were talking about prioritising, we had to say what we were prioritising it in the context of, and that's why we said we prioritise this. We're doing this one first. Once we get advanced with this one, then we will move on to considering the options for the quarry. So it was just within the call-in, that's the bit I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, and I assume at some point in the future people will be able to have the discussions that they're trying to have now regarding the quarry pool.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I've got several people. David? I'll be back to you in a sec, Rosemary.
Just on that particular point, actually, about the future of the quarry, in this submission you made to the calling, it says that we're committing to undertaking an assessment of future options for the quarry in due course. There's no commitment there to a pool or any sort of leisure facility. It says future options. That's all it talks about. That could be closure, could be selling the site, all those things. Are you making a commitment to have a pool in the quarry in the future?
I'm sorry, that's not what's being discussed, David. You're doing it again.
That's
I'm really sorry. No, I'm sorry. It's exactly the same thing. I don't know whether people have misunderstood what this meeting is about. It is purely about the consultation. I have got other people. Do you want to come in straight away? Is it about what? Okay. Okay, Julian. Oh, I've had you, Julian. Nick. Bardsley.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try and confine my comments as requested. I represent a rural area on the north side of Shrewsbury, and I could criticise the consultation because it wasn't explicitly focused on the rural villages which clearly, at the moment, use swimming facilities in Shrewsbury predominantly. I mean, some people might go to Oswestry, but mostly they would come here. The consultation looks as if it's all about Shrewsbury. But actually, I could say, well, it's not a very good consultation because it's actually Shrewsbury and its hinterland. And parish councils, I don't think, generally, and parish people living in the rural parishes probably didn't respond. But in practical terms, you've got to start somewhere. And, I mean, it seems to me there's been a clear commitment from the portfolio holder that there hasn't been a decision made about the quarry. In practical terms, I was on the working group called Swimming in Shrewsbury, which met for about a year, 2 or 3 years ago. And it was quite clear in practical terms that what Jane is talking about was the only way of doing it in practical terms. So, I mean, it seems to me you can always criticise a consultation on the basis that maybe it should have been spread further, maybe it should have been more widely publicised. Not everybody spends all day on the Shropshire Council website looking to see what consultations are currently alive. And one of my jobs is to say, please look at this one, if I'm talking to parish councillors, because actually, although it says Shrewsbury, it's going to affect you. So I think we have to be practical, and it seems to me that the consultation was as good as it can be.
Okay, thank you very much. Ed?
Well, it's all quite confusing, isn't it, really?
It's really confusing.
So just to get this straight in my head, from what I understand, the decision was taken on the Sports Village site. We're talking about the consultation of the Sports Village site, so I think it would be fair to assume that any decision at a later date around the quarry will be consulted on, and that is a separate matter, and there will be an opportunity to consult. I think with consultations, you tend to get, with the greatest will in the world, we want more and more people to take part in consultations. People don't get involved unless they have strong views one way or the other, or if they see something as a good thing that's going to happen, they're probably unlikely to, they will assume it will happen, they won't partake positively. My area, for example, will use Oswestry, Welsh Pool and Shrewsbury for swimming. And I just echo Nick's thoughts on this. It's important to capture not just the town centre, the walking and cycling, and also those that use public transport, but the vast majority of my residents would have to drive to a bus to get a bus into the town or elsewhere. So I think that's incredibly important, but just to get straight in my mind, and I think the portfolio might be able to clarify this was a decision on the Sports Village, consultation on the Sports Village, and at a later date there will be a separate consultation on what might or might not happen in the town centre.
I think you've hit the nail straight on the head there. Thank you, Ed. Rosemary?
Thank you. I'm sticking strictly to the brief.
Oh, well done.
I would like to ask, please, Jane, that when the consultation is produced, obviously it's decided at Cabinet that there's a consultation and we may be able to make some sort of comment here. But ultimately, when the consultation is done, it's long away from the political process. I'm right, aren't I? It comes out much later as a document dealt with in a different department.
We hope to be able to move to the consultation reasonably quickly, just in order to push ahead with proposals if we are able to. There is a timescale associated with the delivery of any new facility, and at the moment people will be aware of the pressure of construction cost inflation. So, you know, the longer decisions are delayed and the further things are pushed down the road, frankly, the more expensive they become. So there is some need to progress.
Yes, you can.
So what I think would be really helpful, and there is no doubt that the wording in the reports to Cabinet do imply that the quarry still stands, but its future is very dubious. There's no doubt about that. I read it that way. However, I'm reassured that that might not be the case, and that is great. But just in terms of the consultation, I think it would be very, very helpful to the public to actually make it clear in the consultation from the very beginning, in some form of words that makes that clear, that this is merely a consultation about the new facility at the sports village, and that the quarry is not part of this consultation. It will be considered at a later date. If that form of words were to make it very clear to the public in Shrewsbury and the hinterland, then I think that would be extremely helpful. Yeah, thank you.
I think that was excellent, what you just said, Rosemary. Spot on. Right, David, do you want to come back again?
Yeah, just on this point about the consultation, the call-in, in the call-in, you've got the phrase here, surely the consultation should be about whether the public wants a new pool at Sunderland or the quarry.
But that's been responded to. You've had a response.
But that we should be able to discuss issues around that.
We have a discussion.
The call-in was about the nature of the consultation. It's not just about whether we have a just on the sports village. It should be about the quarry as well.
Ed.
Sorry, we're using the word "or" at the minute, but from what I'm reading into this, as it presently stands, it's "and."
Yes.
And at a later date, "or" might become the option, but you can't consult on that if that's not the option that's on the table. The option on the table is an "and," and I think there is an enormous amount of support for a competition pool in the county, in centrally, and I don't think that should be an "or" option. We're talking about "and" at the moment.
No, and it will be very important that that does come here. It's so important. I mean, we're talking about building a pool that is competition size, that will attract people into the area, that will economically do a huge boost for Shrewsbury. We're not talking about the quarry, which has never been a competition pool. Unfortunately, it's been used for Shropshire County galas, as you will know, Roger, having had a son who swam. But those times never counted as national qualifying times, if I'm correct. No, am I wrong there? So you're nodding.
No, it's not a short course 25-metre competition pool or a 50-metre long course pool. So
that's what I was saying. Sorry, I don't know if I didn't put that very well, did I? Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, we're still on, yeah.
The actual survey says Sports Village transformation proposal for new fitness and pool facilities at Sunderland. In it, as part of the consultation, you are proposing an 8-lane competition pool. What made you do 8-lane and not 6-lane or something smaller, which was what they originally envisaged for that site, was a smaller pool? And I support the need for a smaller pool up in that area. Do not support this, and I think the main pool should be in Shrewsbury, but the consultation says that it's the Sports Village transformation proposal, and I could pick holes if I wanted to in the consultation, but I'll pick this one essentially, that it says your views on the new centre proposal. One of them says travel and access considerations have been fully considered. What has been considered about travel and access? Because I can't get to it without 2 buses, and they are infrequent buses, and so can anybody in the rural areas, which is where Councillor Barnsley came from. Shrewsbury, you can get into the centre and cycle up there, but if you're outside Shrewsbury, it is not easily accessible. Sundays, there's no buses at all, but okay, you've still got to get into Shrewsbury there. So what is this by travel and access considerations have been fully considered? And you're asking, agree or don't agree, but it doesn't detail what they are.
Roger, I'm going to bring Graham in again because I think we're wandering off the consultation. It's broader than that. I will let you answer the question about why the size of the pool is what it is, and then I will come to Graham, because I am really concerned. This is a really hard meeting to chair because it's about a specific point about the consultation, and we're going into all sorts of areas that actually are not to do with the consultation. I
am querying the consultation, and this is what the call-in is, that it needs to be rephrased. And that's what I'm asking the Scrutiny Committee to refer it back, do a consultation, ask whatever is wanted about the sports village there, but it needs to be rephrased and looked at again by the Cabinet.
I think you could have said that without asking all the other questions. Graham?
Yeah, I think that summarises just about what I was going to say. Yeah. Because the decision of the Cabinet, it seems, was to consult on the proposal, and it's been called in. And I'm looking to Roger to correct me if I'm wrong. It's been called in because the consultation shouldn't be to consider this proposal. It should be to consider this proposal and the closure of the quarry at the same time. Is that? If I
can, Chairman.
Yes.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying to consult people where they would want the mainstreaming. Do they agree with what's being said? I'm suggesting, and because of the phraseology of the Cabinet, you can only call in the decision of the Cabinet. And the Cabinet decision was quite specific in that they are proposing a consultation. Can't do anything else because that would not be allowed as a call-in. All that's possible is to call in the Cabinet decision. So it has to be a very narrow call-in, can't widen it because the Constitution does not allow that. So it's got to look at what is being proposed in the consultation by the Cabinet, and that's why they're so. I'm not saying it's either or whatever. What I'm saying is let's consult the people of Shrewsbury to do it. The consultation that I passed around is one that was carried out, and this folder here contains all the discussions that were held at that time on the two pools. But that there is an example of a consultation that was carried out on swimming and the sports centre. Split side, yep, not against that, but the main pool, wherever. And if that's a consultation, that's the type of consultation that should be carried out. Not the one on this, which is an 8-pool, fantastic site.
Roger, you're doing it again. Please stop. Please stop. It is about the consultation for Sundawn. If anybody says anything now, I'm just going to cut you short. I'm finding this very difficult as well, as you can imagine. I think Ed made it quite clear about what we're doing with Sundawn consultation. You wanted to speak, Steve?
Yeah, I did. We have to treat this as it's a planning application. We treat it with what's on the table, and this is this consultation. We're all used to planning, so we should understand that. Secondly, I believe it's for a competition pool with none in the county at all, and we need to stop people needing to leave the county to swim in competition. And not only that, we bring people in the county to swim too.
And again to you, it's about the consultation, not about the pool. So please, it's even Stephen here. Nick.
Thank you. This is a confusing debate.
Really?
We don't get this at planning meetings. Can I just check, and I will talk about the consultation, not the different sites. One of the main aims that I can see of this consultation is to make sure that we maintain a swimming provision in the Shrewsbury area.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and in that case, if we're looking at the consultation to make sure that we do maintain swimming provision, because we may lose it otherwise, surely the consultation should include things like whether the pool is, what standard it is, and whether it's up to a competition standard to save people going to Wolverhampton. That's all I'm saying.
Well done, Nick. That was all about the consultation. I am going to move it on now, because it could go round in circles forever. And I hope everybody understands what we're looking at, because some members seem to be a little confused. We're going to have a general debate now. Members can ask any questions of both parties with a view to helping them make their mind up. So, who wants to talk on the consultation? No one. That's lovely. Thank you. Okay. Oh, sorry. Julian?
I mean, I have to say, Chair, I think think this process is a little bit mad, because we do need the opportunity to look at the context, because the context, we've been told that the context is in the Cabinet report is about finance, the context is about carbon emissions, the context also has to look at the opportunities for public transport, all of those things, and it's crazy that we're not able to talk about the wider context, and that inevitably involves also talking about what may or may not happen in the centre of the town, and so I do think it's all a bit crazy. Having said that, I'll just make a few comments, and I may or may not get stopped, I guess. But so from my point of view, and I represent, an SY3 area very close to the town centre. I absolutely appreciate the love that people have for the quarry, and I want to see swimming to stay there. I personally do not agree with Councillor Basma. I don't think we have to give up on the idea of swimming in two places in Shrewsbury, actually. And so I absolutely see the case for making Sundawn a more viable opportunity, more viable sports and welfare and fitness centre that is needed in the north of the town. Actually, I think the north, provision in the north of the town is not as good. Transport from the north of the town is not great.
That's to do with the consultation.
I knew you'd stop me.
I'm sorry. I feel really bad stopping you. I feel like good cop, bad cop, but I am stopping you there. I am absolutely stopping you there. Can I just ask, is there anything that anything anybody needs to make their decision now? Is there any other information? Because I don't think there is. I think actually we've said enough, to be honest, and I think we can actually move to resolve to do one of the following three things. To take no further action, at which point the decision becomes effective from the date of the OSC meeting. To refer the matter back to Cabinet with issues to be detailed in the minute for Cabinet to consider before taking its final decision, and to refer the matter to full council for a wider debate. And a note here says, full council may decide either to take no further action or to refer the matter back to Cabinet with specific recommendations for them to consider prior to decision taking. I will just add that I have every confidence from what I've heard here that whenever something happens with the quarry pool, there will be a consultation, there will be a discussion, members will have their viewpoints heard, and I can see there's lots of hands up. Somebody wants to make a recommendation. Who shall I go to first? Rosemary. Oh, in that case, I'll move. Right, who was the first person to put their hand up?
Ladies first.
Who put...
Go on. Okay,
go on, Rosemary.
Okay, so I'm not quite sure where... there are two things I've asked for that I think generally it was agreed that they were reasonable. One was about multiple submissions, a reasonable number of multiple submissions being acceptable. Yeah. The second was about the form of words to make it clear this is merely a consultation on the sports village and not the quarry. The quarry will be discussed separately. Yeah. How does that fit into those three options?
Oh, absolutely fine, Rosemary. But what I would say is, do we need a recommendation on that, or can we actually ask?
We're happy to accept them and just fold that into the process. That's fine.
I thought so, and we will make sure that happens.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is everybody happy with that? I just want to vote on that particular... Well, we don't have to vote because it's not... You will.
Have a chance. Well,
yes, that was when I said about you can have a debate, and you didn't. I invited everybody. Does anybody want to say anything? And you didn't.
I thought I was waiting to be called to sum up at the end.
I mentioned no, absolutely not. And we've moved on now, I'm afraid.
Well, I'm sorry, Chairman. I wanted to talk about the subject of the call-in, the consultation, which is what this is as part of it there. To do it because the whole calling was to ask that the consultation document be referred back to Cabinet for them to have a look at, do it.
Well, you can do that we've got three options here. One of them is to refer the matter back to Cabinet with issues, which would be that one. So you might wish to propose that, and we can see if you have a seconder, and we can vote on it. So there are three options. I will repeat: to take no further action, at which point the decision becomes effective from the date of the meeting, to refer the matter back to Cabinet with issues to be detailed in the minute for Cabinet to consider before taking its final decision, and the third option, to refer the matter to full council for a wider debate, and they may decide either to take no further action or to refer the matter back to Cabinet with specific recommendations for them to consider prior to the decision making. So does anybody want to put one of those? Gary?
Well, thank you, Chairman. I propose that we take no further action.
Do I have a seconder?
You have a seconder.
I've got Nick over that. So, yeah. Gary? Nick.
Move
take
an amendment, Chairman.
We're going to...
Move an amendment.
I think you can do that, yeah.
Okay. I propose that this be referred back to Cabinet as a result of the conversation today, that Appendix 2 in the document, which is the public consultation document, be referred back to Cabinet so that attention can be paid to the discussions today before taking it forward for the consultation that is needed.
I'm sorry, I don't see that as an amendment. You can put it forward as
I'm
your
sorry, Chairman,
recommendation.
I'm the main proposer for this, you are cutting me
Graham.
off.
Graham.
I was not given the opportunity to sum up at the end, which is what is normally given.
Well, you should have done when I said everyone could speak. I'll take Graham's advice. Graham, what is your advice?
We've got one proposal, but there's no reason why we can't take another proposal and find the reasons for that proposal as well, so that and see if that's seconded, and then we take.
Well, that's why I was thinking that you might.
So if Councillor Evans wants to propose that as a second one, but then we'll come back and once he's said what he wants to say, they'll be able to go back and vote on the original motion. If that falls, go to the second motion.
Right. So we've got Gary's motion. Do we need to vote on that one first because it came first?
Yeah. We'll hear what Roger has to say first.
Okay, Roger.
On that one first.
The call-in was specific about the consultation document, which is this one here. And what I want to focus on is this consultation document, which is in it, Sports Village Transformation. It does not go with previous council decision for a split site. It uses the comment there that it is a split site is unaffordable at this moment in time to do it, and it goes for a fantastic new swimming pool which anybody would want, but it does not consult about what is wanted for swimming for Shrewsbury. It assumes that the sports centre will be the all singing, all dancing swimming facility for Shrewsbury. The rural areas are largely ignored. The document there, if one goes through it, question by question, there are statements made in it with no accompanying detail. For example, travel and access considerations have been fully considered. Where does that appear in the document so anybody filling this in has or knows what it is? And then it talks about walking, cycling, getting to it. But it is a flawed document, very biased towards what is being proposed at the sports centre, does not allow recipients, residents, to make informed comments about it. So I would propose that it is referred back to Cabinet, because that's all that we can do, because that's all the Cabinet did, was so to, and I could use all sorts of other words on it, but it is a flawed consultation, because all it says is, this is what's going at the sports centre, do you agree or not agree? It'd be very hard to disagree, just given that stark question. Anybody would want a nice sports centre there, but what would be the effect? It isn't asked for, isn't consulted, and I do refer again to the consultation analysis that was done in 2014, which was a good consultation, and I pick up what Councillor Dartnell says about it, that people were rejected because they were using the computer a second time. It says in it that it will be an internal consultation using the computer. So anybody that hasn't got a computer, who doesn't know it is happening, they won't know about it. It does need to be a proper consultation, an informed one, so that residents can understand what is being asked for and what would be their preference.
Thank you. Does anybody second this recommendation from Roger? David. We'll take a vote on this. How many people support Roger's recommendation? You're looking very confused over there. Well, that the committee resolves either. We've got three. I've read them out twice. So what Roger is saying, refer the matter back to Cabinet with issues to be detailed in the minute for Cabinet to consider before taking its final
Can I add,
decision.
I'm not against the sports
No,
centre.
we realise that. So we've got Roger and David. Do we have anybody else supporting that? No, no, I'm sorry, that falls. Julian?
I think we'd like to move a further amendment to the proposal here, which is simply to add that we support no further action in the light of the decision, in the light of the offer from the portfolio holder to make sure that the consultation clarifies the situation on the quarry. And further, I think as a committee, we call... And
Roger,
further,
please
as a
be
committee,
quiet, please.
We call on the people of Shrewsbury and Shropshire to make comments as widely as they feel appropriate in response to the consultation.
Okay, but I think you've taken all that on board, haven't you? And that will happen. I don't think we need anything. So please, Roger. We're taking a vote. We've had Gary has said to take no further action.
Okay.
We need to vote on that.
Then I can make a comment on that then. Okay. The Cabinet have approved the consultation. It's agreed, and unless it's referred back, that is the consultation which will be issued. The Cabinet made a decision, not the portfolio holder,
sorry.
not the officer.
It's the consultation. I know, I agree with you. I'm just saying the consultation is purely on Sundawn, and you want to make it about the quarry, and we're not. Anyway, Gary.
I haven't, Chairman, I haven't.
Please don't, Roger. I would hate to throw you out of the room. Right, Gary, and you've been seconded by Nick. All those in favour of no further action, other than the things that have been recommended by Rosemary, which we've been promised will happen. Yeah, hands, everybody?
No, sorry,
do we need a formal amendment? I don't think we do, no. Graham's saying no. But thank you, Rosemary, because those were very valuable points. So, no further action. Thank you very much. Thank you, members. I appreciate it has been a very difficult meeting and very difficult to chair.
If anybody...
And that some people here seem to want to make this about something totally different. But we have a decision. Thank you all very much indeed.
If anybody does want to get more about the competition pools and why, the size and all the rest of it, there are a whole host of people over there who can inform you fully on why. So, thank you.
Thank you.